So question 1, find x to 3 significant figures. Again, we know to use Soh CahToa because this is a right angle triangle. So step 1, we label our sides. The longest side is called the hypotenuse. The side opposite the angle is called the opposite, and the other side is called the adjacent. We then choose the correct triangle, so it's between Soh, CAH, and TOA. In this question, we are given the opposite and we want to find the hypotenuse. So we want the triangle with the opposite and the hypotenuse in it. Clearly it's Soh. And we want to find the hypotenuse. So if we cover up the hypotenuse, you can see that the hypotenuse is equal to the opposite divided by sine theta, or sine of the angle. So h is equal to the opposite over sine theta. The opposite in this question is 15 centimeters. And the angle is 70 degrees. So the hypotenuse is equal to 15 divided by sine 70. And to 3 significant figures, this gives us 16.0 centimeters. Question 2 asks us to find theta, the angle, to 1 decimal place. So again, we label our sides, the longest side being the hypotenuse, the side opposite the angle being the opposite, and the other side being the adjacent. Now, we are given the hypotenuse and we're given the opposite. So the triangle that we want is Soh, or S-O-H. How do we make our equation? Well, we want to find the angle this time. So we cover up the S. So S stands for sine theta. Sine theta is equal to the opposite divided by the hypotenuse. Sine theta equals O over H. But to get the angle, we use inverse sine, or sine to the minus 1. So our angle is equal to sine to the minus 1 of O over H. The opposite in this case is 7 meters. And the hypotenuse is 10 meters. So our angle is equal to sine to the minus 1 of 7 over 10. And that gives us an angle of 44.4 degrees to 1 decimal place. Question 3 asks us to find y, that length, to 3 decimal places. So the first thing we do is label the sides. The longest side is h. The side opposite the angle is the opposite, and the other side that we're trying to find is a, the adjacent. We are given the opposite, and we want to find the adjacent. So we want the triangle with O and H in it, and that would be TOA. Now, to make our equation, we cover up the thing that we're trying to find. The adjacent is equal to the opposite over tan theta, or tan of the angle. The opposite in this case is 5 meters. So A is equal to 5 over tan of the angle, which is 40. So 5 over tan 40. And if I put that into my calculator, 5.959 meters to 3 decimal places. And finally, question 4 asks us to find theta, the angle, to 1 decimal place. Again, we label our sides, the longest being the hypotenuse, the opposite, and the 10 meters being the adjacent. We want the triangle with the adjacent and the hypotenuse in it, which is CAH, C-A-H. Because we're trying to find the angle, we want to cover up the C. So C, or cos of the angle, is clearly equal to A divided by H. So cos theta is equal to A over H. So to find theta, we move the cos to the other side. Theta is equal to cos to the minus 1 of A over H. A in this case is 10 meters, and the hypotenuse is 25 meters. So our angle is equal to cos to the minus 1 of 10 divided by 25, and this gives us an answer of 66.4 degrees to 1 decimal place. Watch my other videos for how to do the cosine rule and the sine rule.